This 1987 Japanese commercial saw bizarre and unusual changes made to it after airing for many years. What were these changes? I'm going to show you the original and edited versions of this commercial, and you can see for yourself.
SSK のサンスキップ好きです。 SSK お酒の魚 SSK のオードブルツナが大好きな主人好きじゃじゃーん1、2、3スキップ1、2、3スキップ3スキップおいしいよ。おいしくってヘルシーなSSK のサンスキップ好きです。 SSK お酒の魚 SSK のオードブルツナが大好きな主人好きじゃじゃーん。
Did you catch that? For some reason, the company made a decision to omit the likeness of the woman playing the mother entirely. Not only that, but those edited shots seem to have included new freeze frames instead of the shots of the mother, and the music becomes slightly off-pitch with these edited shots. So instead of showing that mother character anything of her at all, they instead opted to show these jarring and very forced freeze frames instead. Even watching this myself for the first time, I recall being taken aback and very confused. Also a bit creeped out. Why did they do this in the first place? Back when this video was still in development, I even teased it on my Instagram account, asking viewers what they thought had happened. And people definitely had varying answers and opinions. Though, despite all of the comments I had received, not a single one had correctly guessed what had happened with this commercial. Today we're going to be looking at what's referred to as the SunSkip commercial mystery, an infamous 2chan topic and internet mystery. Let's start from the top. SunSkip is a Japanese canned fish brand produced by company SSK or Shimizu Shokuen Kaisha since the 1930s. They've had many commercials over the decades, though SunSkip is the best remembered and the only one to be edited like this. This specific commercial, complete with unique jingle, began airing in the early 80s, though the version with the woman edited out was not introduced until around 1987. Like I said, that original version with the woman's face ran for years before they decided to revise it. If this was just a simple creative decision, wouldn't they revise it sooner? And for lack of better words, wouldn't it just simply look better? What's interesting, aside from the timing of everything, is how off the crop shots look. Most notably, this one with the foods at the table. They cropped out the actress holding the tuna can with the brand name and logo on it, the actual product they're advertising for, and instead show the foods on the table with no identifiers or markers as to who's advertising it. You would think that they would begin that shot with their hands and the product itself. Instead, they avoid it entirely and freeze on this off-centered shot of the food for a bit instead. From a marketing standpoint, that's a bit odd, almost as if they had no choice but to remove her hands. It appears odd, hastily done even. Many online users found these edits suspicious. The initial 2chan post says it best. The canned food manufacturer SSK's SunSkip commercials were broadcasted during the Supertime time slots. For some reason, the image of the important product is out of focus in the edited shots. The editing is strange and unnatural looking. Looking at these edits, I can't help but think, did something happen? Many users agreed, including this detailed post mentioning some logical possibilities they recalled being discussed in the 1980s up until that time of posting. Was it edited because the actor's contract expired and she couldn't show her face in the ad anymore? The quality of the editing is not suitable for airing, though. Furthermore, they kept this advertisement up for quite some time. Was it perhaps a problem with sponsors or production costs? Did the original tape containing the advertisement get damaged in some way? Was the master tape lost at some point over the years? Or maybe, just maybe, they intended to do this so it would look like a broadcast incident and appeal to the viewer and stand out in their mind even more. All of these theories, for the most part, seem believable. However, more disturbing rumors and theories surfaced by many as well. The majority had assumed that something bad had happened to the actress playing the mother, where SSK was left with no choice but to remove her face and likeness entirely. Either that or she committed some kind of crime. These darker theories ended up becoming more popular among those discussing SunSkip, and these theories also made sense. This was not the first time something like this had happened. Entertainers are often banished from the media if they've done something illegal or scandalous. Wiping an entertainer entirely from a piece of media following their passing has also occurred. If you're familiar with my video on Sukemonoya or the pickle obituary commercial, then you're already familiar with something like that. This commercial was also uncovered, announcing the death of a conductor in an advertisement for an orchestra and replacing the original advertisement with that original conductor with a new last-minute version. Unfortunately, Sukemonoya may or may not remain lost media. And here's the thing. At this point in time, in 2001, both versions of the SunSkip commercial were lost media too. Everyone in this thread was going off of memory and recollections. But what's so interesting about this is that many users remembered seeing the commercial, down to the lyrics of the jingle itself, and their memories all matched up. This SunSkip commercial in both forms had aired nationally for a huge portion of the 1980s, so that made sense. As more and more people said they remembered this advertisement down to the channels, time slots, and dates it aired, the search efforts only grew. Technology was a bit lacking in 2001, however, and not many people out there were equipped to rip and upload a VHS tape back then. Though, 7 years later, in 2008, interest surged once again with a new thread and plenty of posts elsewhere online. It would take another 5 years beyond this, in 2013, for the commercial to be recovered, or at least one version of it. The version found ended up being that edited variant. At this point, some wondered if the version with her face even existed at all, but many swore by it. It wasn't until more years later, in 2021, that the original version of the commercial, the one with the woman's face, was found. And that gave online users a lot more to work with, to officially confirm that the commercial was edited to remove that woman specifically. So, next question. One I myself and many of you out there are likely wondering, just who was that woman in the commercial? Why was the woman removed? Did something really happen? Likely something involving her? Online users began trying to figure out who she was. And finally, this post was made in 2013. It was around this time when a user on 2chan had recalled seeing her fairly recently. According to this poster, the woman who played the mother in the SunSkip commercial was now a jazz singer, and they had recognized her from her jazz shows. Apparently, again according to this poster, they had become a jazz singer in the 1990s and was active at the time of this post, that time being in 2013. At that very point in time in 2013, any user reading that post could just go and see her perform. You know that SunSkip commercial mentioned in the previous thread? The one where the mother's character was in the picture when it first aired, but then suddenly cut off from the screen with only her voice left? Well, I've seen this actress before recently. And you can't imagine my surprise to hear so many awful things being talked about here. Horrible things like death, serious illnesses, and crime. The truth is that she's still very healthy and has been active as a jazz singer for about 15 years now. Though, of course, people began questioning this user and researching this themselves. And it was here when this site was discovered featuring her. She performed at this specific jazz club within Hanamatsu City. Her stage name was clearly listed, that name being Saito Itsuki Felicia. A blog post was also discovered mentioning her vocal talent at this jazz club. They had nothing but good things to say about Saito and included plenty of photos of her performing. And Googling her stage name brings up plenty of photos of her performing as well, even some from recent commercials. She definitely has a presence online, though I was unable to confirm if she was playing at that jazz club still. I mean, personally, my mom loves jazz and I would love to bring her to see one of Saito's shows if she was still around playing. But yeah, long story short, the actress seems to be doing very well today and maintains a healthy and fulfilling career. But then, if that's the case, why did they censor the advertisement? Why did they wipe her away from the commercial completely? We still don't have answers as to why that happened and why they did that. I mean, those edits are still pretty bizarre. Well, then came this post, written by somebody claiming to have spoken to a relative who had this actress and singer as a mutual friend. Also included within this post was a video. What you just saw was a commercial for a completely different canned food brand by a company known as Hotte. This commercial began airing in 1987 and featured that same exact actress from the SunSkip commercial. Was this something she was allowed to do? Apparently yes, and here's why. The original SunSkip advertisement began airing in the early 1980s. I myself couldn't find the exact date, but it's definitely at some point before 1985. The actress who played the mother had a contract that required her to be exclusive for a number of years. However, by 1987, that exclusivity period ran out. This allowed the actress to perform in other tuna ads, namely this one where she's also a mother with some kind of dance routine involved. This supposedly became problematic for SunSkip's own campaign, as this new Hotte commercial was broadcast on the same channels and even during the same time slots and commercial breaks as that of the original SunSkip spot. So what did they do? Rather than create a new advertisement altogether, especially if it meant discontinuing such a successful commercial, they made last-minute edits and cuts to remove the actress. So that way, the two commercials and their competing brands wouldn't be confused with each other. In addition, this poster also shared information on other commercials Saito was in during her time acting. By the way, the person who played the mother appeared in many commercials in the late 70s to the early 90s. She's affiliated with the management company Oscar and has worked with various brands such as 7-Eleven, beverages, banks, newspaper companies, and automobiles. You can even still find and watch commercials she did for butter cookies and toy makers. These commercials were made during the SunSkip era, that being the early to mid-80s. And once again, this is all according to a post claiming to explain what happened. The level of credibility certainly is unknown, but I will say it does add up and does make sense. Especially since what's concrete is that the actress is still alive and active and well today. The commercial was not edited because of her passing or because anything bad had happened. The timing of the two advertisements, those being the revised SunSkip ad and Hotte, are pretty telling as well. So, for the most part, it seems like the internet got its answer, and the Japanese internet is convinced. Especially after the full unedited commercial was recovered only 2 years ago. Found media and actual answers to questions are uncommon with creepy internet mysteries like this, so it's refreshing to talk about some actual success stories and online rumors being proven true. It is not something I get to do often. However, that doesn't make that edited version of the commercial any less creepy. At least to me. But what do you guys think? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this little mystery.